Shruti, nice seeing you. Let's start really our session here. I'm going to give some fire chat questions, so hopefully you can really enlighten our audience here. So one thing, really, tell me a little bit of really what is really deep tech, and how do you see Indian entrepreneurs should look at deep tech?
Well, thank you, Dayakar, for having and interviewing here. And I know you have a lot of perspective here as well. So maybe we can make it a fun conversation. Yeah, what do Indian entrepreneurs need to know about deep tech? I guess it depends on how we define deep tech. Deep tech has a lot of definitions, and in today's world, it can mean things like SpaceX and Tesla, and a lot of hardware, capital intensive kind of areas. And it could also mean, in the context of enterprise, this is what we do. It could also mean just really hard technical products on the software side, like ML, NLP, just things that are not just pure, simple SaaS, bottom up kind of things. So again, it depends on what lens you're looking at and for this. And founders who are starting deep tech companies just have to understand that sometimes it takes longer to build those products, especially on the hardware deep tech side, over software products. And you might underestimate the time and money needed to create your first prototype or to launch your first product. And if you run out of money before that, you're kind of in trouble. So my suggestion is not just to raise a lot of money. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is just keep in mind the kind of investors you take on board, need to understand how deep tech companies work. So that's something I would share.
I agree with you. I think we being a venture fund, we invested one of the companies almost 8 years back, a company called Hyperwatch in India. It takes a long time. We had kind of gone through some pivots and finding the right, the problem to solve. I agree with you. So what do you see some of these use cases, really early adapters for deep tech? I agree with you. I think, it used to be like when you say deep tech, it's going to take a long time to commercialize it. But now with the AI, ML, some of these products, like even some of the blockchain, you can actually build pretty quickly and get some use cases out. So what are you kind of seeing like some of those use cases?
I think, again, back to, if we're talking hardware deep tech, I don't think that is true, which you're not going to be able to build a Tesla in a year, and neither are you going to build a rocket in a year. Yeah. So we have companies in true deep tech space, like a company called Solugen based out of Texas. They create plant-based solutions for enzymes, sort of like all the chemicals that needed to make that Dow Chemicals makes, but more plant-based and more eco-friendly. That company, for example, didn't just... Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah. So that company wasn't able to just create this solution in a year. But once it did, it kind of has taken off in an amazing way. And it's now valued at $1.8 billion. So I think it depends on what we're talking about in terms of deep tech. I would not say, again, back to the harder the problem, the harder it is to create, especially if it's more hardware oriented. And some areas I feel like that are ripe for disruption are in manufacturing, supply chain, just areas that require a lot of intensive manual labor, waste management, but they haven't been able to figure out how to actually replace that labor with specialized hardware. So that's, I think, some areas that I'm curious to see where entrepreneurs take what perspective they take in these areas.
Got it. So in that case, what do you think, especially from India, deep tech companies? What opportunities do you think for Indian entrepreneurs have within the deep tech space? of course, AI, ML, and some of the, I see like a blockchain, they're already using it, coming with some products. But what do you think for Indian companies really, to really get into, deep tech, products? And I know hardware one, they can get in, but as you say, like it requires a lot of capital. And what do you think opportunities for these companies?
I think computer vision just is a great space to take advantage of for Indian entrepreneurs and build, as I said, solution in manufacturing, supply chain, security, just I'm talking hardware and also software. I think there's a lot to be done in these areas. And I think as Indian entrepreneurs look to build something new, Web3, as you mentioned, is a great area where founders can figure out how to take advantage of that category and build something unique. We have, I think, Polygon come out of India as well, for example. So there is a pockets of Web3 projects that have been very successful in India. And I think, Indian entrepreneurs should look at how to take it to the next level.
Got it. So give me a little bit of your thesis, the companies you picked so far, and what are your thesis has been, and what are the lessons you learned from the thesis?
We've been a B2B enterprise fund, so we call it enterprise deep tech. To your point of what that means is hard to build, takes advantage of AI, machine learning, Web3, computer vision, all of that. And we are the first check investor. We often lead with $1 million, $1.5 million. And we are, and we help companies get to the next stage. So we are now invested in 60 companies out of 2 funds. Our third fund is launching soon. And we basically help the companies get to the Series A stage with our capital. And of that, over 80% of our companies have raised follow-on rounds from all the top funds, such as Sequoia, Excel, Insight, Founders Fund, IVP, and many others. So we have a very strong playbook on what we call from that seed to Series A journey.
Good to love to work with you guys. So when you look at Indian companies, what would you like to see the company to get investment from you guys?
We usually require them to be Delaware Corp. So that's the first thing. Second, I think it's more just we don't really have anything specific we're looking for. It just has to be something different. I think there's a lot of Me Too solutions out there, and it might be relevant for the India market. But when we invest in a company, we look for companies that can go after global customers.
Got it. So my next question would be like basically, so what do you think the kind of for scaling up formula for this deep tech companies? What are, looks like you already have done 60 investments. Seems like you already scaled up some of them. What are the lessons you saw, the good and bad ones, Indian companies should follow? Or not follow, I should.
I think in the enterprise deep tech world, getting a global customer is still more meaningful than getting an Indian customer if you're looking for an investment in the early days. And oftentimes people go, I am not talking about signed customer. It could just be conversations, right? But if you come to a global investor and you can show that you have a global reach already from day one, then I think it's easier for an investor to take that leap of faith in your company. But if you're looking to just raise capital from global investors, but with Indian customers, the global investors may not have that perspective of how to really evaluate you, even though that ecosystem might be great. So on the flip side, if that's what you're going for, just go after the amazing VCs in India that might be able to fund you, because there's a lot of growth in Indian venture ecosystem that has happened in the last few years. So yeah, so I would say if you're going after that kind of customer base, then maybe that those VCs are more aware of what that looks like. So that's how I would just kind of give some general advice here.
Got it. Got it. So what do you look at kind of, I'm pretty sure you kind of see, I think same thing, like when you're building a deep tech product, the founders had to have different mindset than building an app or really, as we talked about, just a SaaS, a marketplace and all that. What do you look for these founders, more technical slash
Yeah,
really
we are
business?
only, we look for very strong technical founders. Yeah, I think that's our only and biggest requirement.
Got it. Got it. So do you also invest in some of these first-time founders, or really you look for like a serial entrepreneurs, or like what's your kind of criteria in that case?
We have no criteria there. We are half. Currently our portfolio is half first-time founders and half repeat founders. The repeat founders are only because of I've been in venture for over a decade at various firms, even before I started our Ray Ventures about 6 years ago. So for me, I have a strong ecosystem of founders I've backed 8-10 years ago that I can back today, which is why we have a strong repeat founder portfolio as well. But that's not a requirement.
Got it. So what are any other things you can share really for anybody planning to build this deep tech companies through IIT Chennai, or one of the companies we invested, I told you, it was started actually in IIT Chennai, company called HyperWatch. It's a computer vision technology. We were the first investor. Then NEA and other guys came and invested in the company too. So, but we were lucky, we were able to find this company and then done very, very, very well right now. What have you seen, like really, on the deep tech side, if they're coming from an institution like IITs, or like coming from from enterprise, companies, somebody leaving an enterprise, starting a deep tech company? What is your kind of favorite? Which one really you think like the most really your favorite would be? I'm putting you on the spot on this one, but really kind of cool. Just trying to kind of see what your take on that stuff.
I like democratic process to investing. And to me, it doesn't come with degrees from particular universities. IIT is great and it's produced a lot of entrepreneurs, but that doesn't mean that's the only thing I look for. Same with Stanford or Harvard or whatever it is. For me, I look for founders who have perspective, experience, hustle, and we have no correlation with success and those universities in our portfolio.
Good. And I agree with you. I think like at the end of the day, they can really build a product and able to convince one customer, then they can definitely at least talk to us. So what are other things you can share? Have you done some company investments in the Indian deep tech companies, or mostly your focus has been the US so far?
We have a ton of companies that are based in India and US. So they're, they just have operations back in India and here in the US as well. And we tend to, again, the only requirement is they're incorporated in the US.
Got it. Okay. So because your fund is based here, they had to be, you will invest really, I can see that one. Got it. Yeah. That's good to know that. So any other, ideas or any suggestions you can make for, especially, deep tech entrepreneurs in India? I also met this entrepreneur in Hyderabad. He's doing, what do you call, like a replaceable battery, basically for autos. Right, as you said, but I told him like, unfortunately, we cannot invest, but really, it's a great technology if somebody can really fund it. Right? Like,
there's a lot of battery tech that has come out in the recent years. My husband actually is a battery expert. He was at Tesla for a decade. So we have looked at quite a few of battery companies as well. I'm always happy to look at more, but again, that's a true deep tech company, as we were talking about in the original definition of deep tech. And those are the kinds of companies that, have to convince their investors they can launch the product, solve some technical innovation, and build a prototype, all that within a reasonable amount of time frame. And that's really hard to do.
Exactly. What I noticed, some of these innovations happening in India, they're able to do with a small amount of money. Really, I noticed this company. I'll definitely, share it with you. But they already been testing it, with a small amount of money they raised, locally, and they really want to now, make sure it get to next level. So, any other suggestions you have? Any questions, you can think of really? You would ask.
Yeah, I think honestly, for me, I don't really require any capital investment before me. So if they have raised money before my round, then I usually don't want to invest.
Got it.
So for me, if they have raised money even from angels in India, I feel like that's not a pass. That's a pass for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For me, it's a great opportunity if I can partner with them from the ground zero level and help them take to the next stage. Oftentimes I say I'm the first check investor and people don't understand. They're like, yeah, I've only raised 500K or I've only raised $1 million. And that's not good enough for us. We need someone to raise nothing and are just starting out for our rate to be involved.
Got it. So I'm pretty sure in that case, looks like you have pretty good playbook to help them, go from pretty much ground zero and make sure they can get a prototype and then really, start some few customer tests.
Usually when we invest, the companies haven't even incorporated. So we invest as early as that and then help them really get to the next stage. And we've done that successfully. As I said, over 80% of our companies have gone to raise large follow-on rounds. Got it.
Looks like you also have done where companies flipped and became a US corporation. You're able to help them do all that stuff, or recommend it.
Well, again, that kind of defeats the purpose because that means they've raised money in India. So we don't. It's too late for us. We make exceptions in rare cases, but usually we don't like to invest in companies that have raised money in India or anywhere else, or even in the US. We like to be the first check.
Got it. Good. I think I pretty much covered. Anything else you want to cover? Shruti, nice meeting you. I know. Thanks for taking time on your vacation. Sorry, I know it's kind of a lot of stuff going on for me also here. They will definitely meet again. Allow to kind of look at any of the companies you guys invest. We do mainly Series A investments, and our minimum check is $2 million, $2 to $5 million. Great. And so yes, basically, we are based in Dallas, as you can see, Dallas is the capital, and we also have a fund in India. So we invest both cross-border fund basically.
Well, that's amazing. Well, this was great. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of ways we can co-invest together. I'm just looking at your screen in the back. It says cyber, DevOps. Those are some amazing areas we invest in as well. And we might have some companies relevant in the space for you for Series A, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Read in the back. That's funny.
It's music to my ears.
Yes,
but thank you again for taking the time. I'm excited for the ecosystem India and Indian entrepreneurs are building today. I'm very excited to fund companies coming out of there. And yeah, I think if any of the founders are looking for a good partner from the 0 to 1 stage, they should give us a call. And then after that, you can fund them, Dayakar.
Yes. Really, that's allowed to that. So a lot of them are coming to us very early stage because we are very much involved with the NASSCOM. Our team in India also involved very closely. So allowed to bring it to you, some of these guys, actually. We had a session with the 25 VCs, just a few months back. We conducted a Shark Tank with some of these founders. Allowed to send you some of these companies. Hopefully, we'll send some our way. So.
Oh, of course. As I said, we can collaborate here for sure because it sounds like your areas are very similar to mine.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're different. Exactly. Same with us.
Thanks today. Have a good vacation. Sorry to bother you, but
no problem. I'm excited to do this. Yeah, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much again for having me,
Bye-bye.
and let's see what comes out of here.
Thanks. Bye-bye.